this is Josh here with another deck tech. Here we are doing blue-white control, shifting now over to modern. A couple weeks ago we were testing blue-white control in the standard for RC Minneapolis. Unfortunately I didn't do so hot in that event. We're hoping to do a little bit better with SCG Indy coming up. That one is not an RC, unfortunately. It is just a Spotlight series, so I'm kind of hoping if I end up winning the tournament, there's a grand prize to the person to design their own secret layer. So be kind of cool. I don't know, maybe I could make my own secret layer kind of version of blue-white control cards. Who knows? Haven't really thought about it, but we're here today to pretty much stream this deck because this is my go-to deck for Modern, or pretty much for all formats, rather. The reason why we're playing this particular build is really just for one card by itself, or maybe two, rather, if you kind of look at it. But since the printing of Modern Horizons 3, Orim Chant is now Modern legal. Luckily enough, a card like this has always existed for some time. It was originally printed in Plane Shift, and I don't know how good this card has been over before Modern. I don't think it really saw a whole lot of play. Maybe sees a little bit of some play in Legacy here and there, but it really does show how good this card can be just for 1 mana. For 1 mana, we're basically casting this where we can target our opponent where they can't cast spells for the turn. If we spend the extra white mana, they can't attack for that turn. So we can only do this just a few times until we pretty much run out. However, we do have additional resources that can allow us to do this multiple times. We have cards like Days Undoing, where we can shuffle our graveyard back into our deck and be able to redraw our Orim Chant again. The biggest one, the biggest reason why we're also playing Orim Chant is one of Isochron Scepter. We are running 1 in the main and 1 in the side. Now, I've been kind of almost tempted to run 2 in the main, just because this card paired with Orim Chant, it can be just a complete game over against a lot of decks like Eldrazi and Boros Energy. If they can't respond to basically what this card does, with Isochron Scepter, you imprint it onto Orim Chant. For 2 mana, your opponent can't cast spells for the turn. However, you have to spend the extra mana, so 3 mana rather, to make them not attack as well too. So as long as Azorius Scepter and Orim Chant is on the battlefield, you're almost in a game-winning position. Now, sometimes your opponent can respawn at upkeep. They can respond to this on the stack. I've been loving Azorius Scepter with Orim Chant combo. It pairs very well with a card like Teferi, where Teferi will allow you to prevent them from casting any spells for the turn. The luck is definitely with things like Teferi, where they can't cast spells at all. One of the biggest combos that we can also do with this deck, if we're not having to rely too much on Orim Chant and Isochron Scepter, with Narset and Days Undoing, if you cast a Days Undoing and it resolves, your opponent can only draw 1 card, whereas you draw 7. You end the turn right away, which can be kind of useful in certain situations if you are able to cast this at instant speed with Teferi, since Teferi can +1 and you can cast your Days Undoing at instant speed. So things like if your opponent casts an Orcish Bowmasters, you can cast a Days Undoing and exile pretty much things like that on the stack. So Days Undoing can also kind of act somewhat like a counterspell in some ways, which has only come up a couple times. We'll see if it kind of comes up in this league. And another card right down below it is Stock Up. Love Stock Up. If this card didn't exist, we would probably be just doing a full 4 Days Undoing, maybe another Isochron Scepter. But Stock Up is just another great card advantage. We can pair it very well with Teferi, where we can cast this at instant speed. So being able to just see 2 cards, it's almost better divination rather. So, but other than that, the deck is kind of a little bit of a stock up list. You have your prismatic endings and marches for your removal. Same with Solitude. Also, one of your main win strategy combos. Pairs very well with our Kihira, since we can always just use 3 mana to just put it into our hand and use Solitude to pitch it with it. We have Teferi as another win con. Also works well when you want to cast it on turn 5 and untap with 2 lands. You can also use this with Orange Chant or Counterspell to hold it up for the next turn. We have what I'm kind of trying out. Some lists are running Wrath of the Skies, which I also am fine with seeing too. And I can see maybe after playing this league, taking out the temporary lockdowns for Wrath of the Skies. But what I've been finding interesting about temporary lockdown in my testing lately within the last couple of weeks of Modern, just at like leagues and a little bit of some side events that I did at the RC Minneapolis, I found temporary lockdown to be a card that comes down to turn sooner than Wrath of the Skies, where Wrath of the Skies for 2 against Boros Energy wipes out a lot of their cards, but that goes on turn 4 instead of turn 3. It's just a great card overall, so we're going to be testing Lockdown in this deck just to see how it performs. Other than that, we can just kind of switch to the sideboard here. I'll just kind of write it down really quick. We're doing Purge for any kind of like black-red decks. There's Is a Prowess that's kind of being a nuisance in the format, so we're kind of keeping that card in check. That deck in check, especially with Corey Steelcutter. Rest in Peace for the graveyard decks. Same here with Ashiok, also really good against Titan, where they do a lot of shuffle effects. Storm, there's just a lot of great matchups that I've been finding Ashiok very useful for. Maybe even against the mirror match, where you just want to mill them for 20 cards. Subtlety for the Titan matchups. I think even Murktide as well too. Force Negations for mirror matches or any combo decks, like Ruby Storm. Consign, we're doing a full 4 of, especially against Eldrazi. Until Eldrazi is no longer a thing in the format, we're always running 4 of these in the sideboard. And last but not least, we're running 2 Damping Spheres against Eldrazi and Ruby Storm. If for the rare chance, we also play against Tron, there's that. And I probably forgot to mention Titan too. So we're going to run this for a league, 5 matches, and see how we do. Alright, we are here for match 1. We are on the play. And in case you're kind of wondering where I'm at, I am using me as my own avatar, like right below the logo. We will select our companion. We're going to try to keep this over here if we can. And I think if you're playing with companions, you always want to kind of keep it exposed, so then that way you don't forget about it. That way you just have it there just in case. For this hand, we are going to keep this. We're against an unknown opponent. We're not sure what we're up against, but I think on the blind, I'm okay with this. Against an aggressive deck, we have a Solitude with a white card pitch. We have Spell Snare, which is great against a lot of decks that play a lot of decent 2-drops. And stock up just to refuel our hand. So we're going to lead with a Hallowed Fountain tapped and pass the turn. And just as a habit, for me playing this kind of deck, I like to put stops on both sides here. Just so I don't forget. You could probably do the same with draws. Let's see, so our opponent is playing Ruby Storm, most likely, which is probably our best matchup. Alright. Could be the mono red Belcher deck too, now that I think about it. I still think it's a good matchup. It's not mono blue, where I think mono blue would be a little bit tougher for us. So they're just shocking, well, paying 3 life. Passing to us. So we draw. We play Gyre Reach. Unfortunately, we can't cast our Narset here, just with this mana base. This is another reason why the mana base can be a little bit funky, but if our next land is a Mystic Gate, then that really filters our double white or double blue options. Now we could try to just cast a stock up here. Not sure what our opponent might be playing on their next turn. I'm gonna kind of hope that they we draw an extra land next turn. We could just try to go for stock up here and see what the payoff might end up being. So I think we are just going to try to go for a stock up. Here, so there's the Mystic Gate. I think we're just going to take Counterspell and a land here. And just pass the turn. In this case, we could probably just treat that Days Undoing on the bottom in a random order, because in Modern there's a lot of fetching. But it does kind of come up every now and then where if you don't shuffle for the rest of the game, then how you rearrange the bottom of your library can end up mattering. It did end up mattering for me in Minneapolis. What is this here? Metamorphosis. Our opponent might be trying to go off here. Now this is where we probably could have kept our Spell Snare. I don't think we really wanted to just keep up the mana just for Spell Snare. Now if we had our Counterspell instead, I think I probably would have waited a turn to maybe cast that stock up here. But I think just going for stock up is just a good payoff here, because if we go to our next turn, then we have our guaranteed land drop. We get to probably play Narset next turn, holding up 1 mana for Orim's Chant. And if we're playing against this kind of Storm deck, we can at least use Orim's Chant when they try to maybe combo off with maybe like a Wish or some other kind of or what is it? Passive Flames. There we go. Now, I don't think that may be the deck that we're up against. I think they're playing that Storm Scale Scion Dragon out of Dragonstorm. So we want to be able to prevent them from actually casting that card, because if they cast that card, then they have the Storm trigger. Alright, so we're going to our turn. Ooh, we even drew our Days Undoing here, which is phenomenal. So here we're actually going to do an example where we cast Narset, and then on their turn when we pass, we're going to cast Orim's Chant so they can't cast spells for the turn. So we're going to do that. Since we have the Days Undoing, I don't think we're actually going to tick down on Narset, because we want to be able to get extra cards out of this. So we're just going to pass. And now we're going to cast Orim's Chant on their upkeep, which means they have to cast their spells on their upkeep. Luckily enough, I think for this deck, their biggest payoffs are cards that are at sorcerer speed, so they can try to cast things like Metamorphose or Valakut Awakening if they want to at least try to get some kind of value off of it. But it looks like they're just not going to do anything at all. Now our opponent could technically attack, but they don't have any way to attack since all they have are just lands, so perfect. So it looks like our opponent's going to pass to us. I don't think they have a way to destroy the Narset while we go to cast our Days Undoing. I would like to see a 5th land just to have just the safe option of casting Days Undoing and Counterspell, but does not look to be the case. I think I still want to try to go for Days Undoing and see how that goes. If they have like maybe a 2-mana removal spell to deal with Narset here, we have Spell Snare. So we're going to go for Days Undoing. We could try to play Teferi here, but I feel like this is the more game-winning play here is if we cast Days Undoing. I have to maybe double-check on the Mono-Red Belcher deck. Sick. So we drew our hand. Since we do have an Orim's Chant in hand, we can actually now cast this. And because they only have 1 card, and this is Storm, I don't think I'm actually going to cast Orim's Chant. Their 2 cards in hand need to be some major payoffs here, so I'm going to let them just kind of go to their main phase and see what they can cast. But here they're going to see the writing on the wall and go to game 2. So we're going to sideboard. So for sideboard, if we're playing against the mono-red Belcher deck, or Ruby Storm deck here. I think either way, I think these are the cards that I want to bring in against them. So we're bringing in a second Orim's Chant, an Ashiok and 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Force Negations. There might be an argument for Rest in Peace, which I think we could also bring that into. Consign to Memories, since Consign can actually stop the Storm triggers. Might want to try 2. If we're playing against the Storm deck, Ruby Storm deck, Consigns also deal with Ruby Medallion. So here we're gonna take out Temporary Lockdowns, Supreme Verdict, so pretty much all our removal spells here. I think if we do this, if we cut these for these, I think that actually seems fine. There might be an argument for Celestial Purge. Actually, if we're playing against the Belcher deck, we might even want more Consigned to Memories. So there might be an argument for probably taking out maybe like a Solitude or so. And I'm pretty sure this is the Belcher deck. So I think we can probably take out 2 Solitudes. And actually, let's do 3 Consigns. Let's actually do 3 Consigns and 3 Solitudes. I mean, right. We will select our companion. Kind of do this again. Cool. This actually seems like a good hand. We have 3 counterspells here. We have Solitude, but we would need to pay off like Kihira to put into our hand if we need to. Fetch land to get a Surveil land. And we're playing 3 Surveil lands. That's one thing I didn't really note in the deck tech, is that we're playing 3 Surveil lands. Since our deck is a little bit slower and we would just want to be able to surveil into answers. Let's see. Oh, cool. We're off to a good start with an Orim Chant. Yeah, my matchup against Storm in general has been almost like, I think it's been probably like 100%. Historically, Control versus Storm has been mostly favored, but again, with the printing of Orim Chant, it makes our matchup so much easier. Okay, so our opponent is playing Ruby Medallion. Now, do we want to use our Force Negation to counter this? Jeez. That was a loud sound. Yeah, I think we're going to do so. We don't want them having cheap red spells here. Surveil. I think we're going to keep that Mystic Gate on top. We're going to have mana open up for a counterspell here. Oh, another one. I think we're going to also counter that. Oop. Let's make sure we're tapping for that. Counter that. And it looks like our opponent is just stuck on 2 lands, so I think countering these Ruby Medallions seems pretty fair. Oh, I guess we probably should have played the island instead. And we're just gonna put Kihira into our hand just so we have it available. Do they have the 3rd one? Oh, they have Metamorphose. Okay.
Is your stream bringing all the boys to the yard?
Damn right.
Because it's better than yours? Okay.
Looks like our opponent might be trying to combo off. Ooh, okay. So here's a good reason why we don't we don't tap out for things like Kihira. So playing the Orange Chant would have been better in this case. So we're just gonna go to game 3 here. In terms of this, I think we're just gonna ship it back. Our opponent was stuck on 2 lands for 2 turns, so I think putting our Kihira in our hand might have been kind of a loose call there. Because by them drawing the 3rd land or having probably a better setup, allowed them to be able to combo off. I think it was still fine to do so anyways. And because it's Magic Online, I could have done the draw reveal just to see what our top 2 cards probably would have been. But I never like to do that. So we won their dice roll. And we'll keep this hand. We have Spell Snare to keep their 2 drops in check. And consign if we want to consign maybe Ruby Medallion. We'll keep Misty Rainforest on top since it's a fetch land and it can get us another Surveil land. Yeah, Surveil lands are so good here. Definitely sets up our turn or our draws. Alright, play Mr. Rainforest and pass the turn. Now, if our opponent tries to play a 2-drop, let's say Ruby Medallion, kind of have an interesting choice to play one of these 2 cards here. And I feel like I would rather play Consign of Memory. Oh, Defense Grid. So here's an example here. Do we consign our Spell Snare, use our Spell Snare for something else? Spell Snare can get their rituals, so I kind of want to be able to keep that open. Very thankful that we're on the play here. Ooh, we'll keep a Narset on top. Oh, also want to reveal my companion here. And we'll play our basic planes here. 6 cards in hand, so I kind of want to wait a turn here since we have our 4th land. I wouldn't fight over rituals. That's fair. Though in game 2, they were able to kind of go off on that, 4 mana, add 7 mana, and they were able to cast their Goblin Char Belcher. So I can see like where they try to go 3 mana and then try to go to their 4th mana. So like, so here I could see not fighting over this one, but if they try to play another ritual, I'm probably gonna respond to that one. Ugh. Blood Moon. God. This is why I kind of like to fight over rituals. Damn. They got us really good with Blood Moon. Well, basic plains? No. Or basic island? Darn. Well, Storm doesn't really get us this way. That's unfortunate. Oh. Though I will say, like, with Blood Moon here, if we had Isochron Scepter with Orange Chant, we can actually play around this just fine. Ah, there's a Teferi. Unfortunately, we can't cast that either. Hmm. is getting us hard with us. Nope. Counterspell's not a good one. Nope. We do have our Solitudes to get rid of this Magus at least. If we draw a basic island, I think we can definitely be in good shape here. It's kind of unfortunate because I feel like if we had spell snared that ritual against this Blood Moon, we might have been able to have a fighting chance. We could have also fetched a little bit better with our Misty Rainforest if we were trying to play around Blood Moon. Now our deck does run 2 islands and 2 plains. This is probably one of the rare chances where I kind of wish we were playing Lorwyn Revealed. Looks like our opponent might be comboing off here. Ooh. Well, we can deal with 3 of these dragons, or 2 of these dragons. Ah, brutal. Opponent might actually get us. So we have to pitch one of these cards. 3. We'll pitch Kihira. I think that's still, let's see, that puts us down to 1 here. Yeah. Cool. Just to kind of stem the bleeding here. That way it's a 3-turn clock. Maybe not. Second Blood Moon just to really get us here. Yeah, yep, that's actually just going to be game over for us, so kind of a bad start to the deck. We pretty much have a really good matchup against Rubies, or just Storm in general. That one, I probably jinxed it too soon, especially since I'm doing a recording of this. Alright, so we're going to go straight off to game 2 here, or round 2. We're going to reveal our companion. Alright. 6 lands and a Teferi here. Oh. Opponent just scoops. Okay. It's weird. So for some reason our round 2 our opponent just automatically scooped to us. Probably just felt really bad, or I have no idea. Probably just wasn't able to play. So we're going to straight off to match 3 here. So on the Blaine, and on the draw here, I think we're gonna keep this. We have endings for any aggro matchups. These for control matchups. Wouldn't be surprised if we're might be playing against. Is it Prowess here? No turn 1 play. That would be interesting. All right, draw. We're just gonna lead with a fetch land here, since we don't have a spell snare. Probably just lead with our classic end of turn. On their turn, get a surveil land. Okay. So it looks like we're playing against Bardos Energy, which... Oh, never mind, we're playing against another Storm deck. But this time we're probably playing against actual Ruby Storm. No, we could force negation this, but I don't like pitching my other counterspell, so we can use ending to get rid of that. Let's also kind of see what our top card is with our Surveil land, because that might change our mind on if we really do want to use our force, but I don't think we're going to. Orange Chant, we can definitely keep that one on top. Excellent. So we could just use ending. They have 4 mana after that. Or I'm sorry, 4 cards in hand. Gonna go to 5 on their draw step. And we do have force with counterspell magic. If we need to counter something kind of scary here. So I think let's just try to go for an ending here. And then pass to them. Reckless Impulse. Alright. Oh, they have no... Oh, wow. So they have no land drops, so they'll have to cast one of these spells next turn. And most likely they'll cast their Ruby Medallion, so I think we're just going to hold up our Force Negation for that. No reason to put Kihira into our hand just yet. We could also just use the ending to exile that too, so actually I kind of like doing that instead. Oh. Okay. They do have their 3rd land. Their Ritual. Kier, I'm not actually going to counter. Impulse. We could counter this. I don't think I want to. This one we will counter. One of the hilarious things about Orange Chant, if they were to cast their Wish, we can kind of treat this as a counterspell. Oh, they haven't... And they tap out for it, alright. So we can use ending to get rid of that Rel. We could also use Solitude to get rid of it too. Or we could just go for the Isochron Scepter. So we'll just do that instead. So we'll shock in this Hallowed Fountain. The Isochron Scepter. An Orange Chant. And against this kind of matchup, I feel like this is pretty much a game, an auto win for us. So we're going to do this on their upkeep. Yes. Target them, and then they have to cast, and they can't cast anything. And yeah, there's a great example right there too. Plus, with their exiled cards, they have to cast these cards on this turn, but because of Orange Chant, they can't cast spells for this turn, so we effectively pretty much counter 2 of these spells. Alright, so both sideboard. Similar to our first matchup, I think we probably punted a little bit in our game 3. It's hard to say, honestly. But we are going to do kind of a similar, pretty much a similar configuration. Here we're actually going to bring in the Celestial Purge. I don't know if we actually brought in the Celestial Purge in the other matchup. Here we definitely want it, just for cards like Ral. So we'll take out Supreme Verdict. Temporary Lockdown, even though it does answer Ruby Storm and Ral, I still like taking them out. We're going to take out a Solitude. Probably all these Solitudes now that I think about it. It's a different matchup where the other deck was playing the Storm Scale dragon. Here we'll probably take out a march. And everything else we could probably just keep just in case. These are still effective answers against the matchup. And let's see. Yeah, I think this is... Oh, Ashiok. I almost forgot to bring in Ashiok. We'll probably just take out another march here. Yeah, now we'll definitely ship it back. Ashiok might be a little bit slow, but we can just use Ashiok for at least 20 cards. We can exile their graveyard. They do have a way to search their library with fetch lands. We'll reveal our companion. How are we looking with this hand? And we're on the draw. I still think this is still a fine keep. Would like to see a spell snare if we can get it. Another counter spell. Alright. So we'd like to see Ruby Medallion and not Ral, because then we can have the option to force that, but we can't force a Ral. Alright. I think I do want to counter this, since we have another counter spell. Of course, a slight misplay here. I think we wanted to surveil first just to see what our top card would have been. So like here, yeah, we draw an orange chant. We're for sure going to keep that. I just get a little bit nervous playing on Magic Online because I feel like I will misclick. Let's see. We could counterspell this. I don't think we do here. There's no mana reduction spell that they have at the moment, so we'll let this resolve. Ruby Medallion and a Grape Shot. So they have until next turn to cast that. Again, I think this is going to be one of those situations where they cast Ruby Medallion. Now we could also just do Orange Chant to basically counter both of these cards, since they are cards that they can only cast at sorcerer speed. But I kind of like holding up Orange Chant, well, for this exact reason here too. So we might be able to actually get them again, back to back. How funny is that? So we're just going to play the fetch land. We could try to stock it, but we don't want them to kind of go off on their next turn. So 4 mana up. They're going to cast a Ruby Medallion. I do want to counterspell this, because if they want to play a Ral or another Ruby Medallion, that requires them to tap out. Now if they want to go Ritual into a Blood Moon like our last Storm player did, I think that's fine, but here we actually can respond with getting a basic land. Grape Shot for 2, or for 3 because we cast a spell. That's also fine. Now, I wouldn't say this is going to be exactly game over. I'm sure they probably brought in some artifact hate, and that's something that they can do on the upkeep in response to Isochron Scepter. So assuming that their 2 cards could be like a Wear and Tear, that doesn't exactly scream game over for us just yet. I think we're still going to surveil here. We'll keep it consigned, just in case if this plan kind of falls short for us. So let's see if we can get our opponent back to back. Now, opponent can respond to the ability on the stack, so like in this case, they're going to draw a card. Yes. Cool. And if for whatever reason, if we wanted to pay the kick across, we would have to pay an additional white, but luckily against Storm, this is almost just a 2 mana. They can't cast spells at all. Cool. So I'd like to see another land, so then that way we can go stock up into Orim's Chant. We did not. We could go stock up to find our next land. We could whiff. I mean, with 5 cards, it's likely that we'll probably find a land, but we could find a land and it could be a tap land. So I don't want to take that chance. I kind of want to just play the slow game until we can find what we need. So let's see what our opponent does here. Now they could try to destroy this on our turn. That could be a little bit goofy for us. Alright. So gonna do this again. Yeah, and if our opponent had a Wear and Tear, I think they would have done it on our end step. They could even do it here too. A Spell Snare. Alright, and our opponent has 3 cards in hand. Didn't draw our 5th land. I think I'm still safe to just keep doing this. Now Wear, I think, is 1 mana, so we can't Spell Snare it. Or, I'm sorry, Shatter. Or, what is it, Wear, Tear? What is it, Wear or Tear, that costs 2, so actually we can Spell Snare that one. Cool. So much easier to play this on paper. Alright, so we did draw our 5th land here, so we'll crack that right away. We'll get a basic Plains just to play around Blood Moon. Stock up. And here, wow, we have options. We can also try to do another Isochron Scepter Orange Chant, which probably doesn't sound as bad. We can also Ashiok just to kind of start milling them, and that would be about half their deck. Let's just do that. I mean, we're pretty much locked in with just this, and let's just get a counterspell. It is kind of funny that we can double combo here.
I think I remember Felix having that at some point. I remember seeing something like that.
Alright. Sure, our opponent is having the time of their lives.
You know what I remember? Your Minnie Mouse cash register. I remember your Minnie Mouse plushie. Remember your Minnie Mouse cash register though?
Well, lands are probably some of our best draws here. Oh jeez, that was loud. Actually, let's tap a little bit different. Or I guess it does require double blue, so never mind. Let's keep this open, just in case we want to use Guided Reach. Sec. And we're just going to just do this now. Our opponent is also playing Orim Chant, which is something that they can play around. Got our opponent with Ashiok. Don't think we're gonna tick down on Ashiok just yet. 1, 2. So here we could just put Kira back to our hand, and then eventually start just beating down with Kira. I like to think we're pretty much in a game-winning spot here. So our opponent is going to respond to this. Interesting. So, pretty much our best card against them, they're using against us. So here, so they're responding to the Isochron Scepter ability on the stack. So, if we let this resolve, then it pretty much fizzles our spells for the turn. So this would allow them to cast spells, which I don't think I want them to do. So this is kind of why we keep additional mana open up just in case. So we're gonna cast Counterspell here, and now they may have another Orange Chant to combat this, but it looks like that is not the case. Yeah, them using Orange Chant on us is also pretty effective. Turns out this card is pretty good in Modern. Awesome. Now I kind of do want to tick down on Ashiok just so we can kind of get rid of this. I think some of these lists run at least 2 to 3 of Orange Chant. Cool. We'll play Narset here. And with Narset and Gaia Reach, this basically becomes another lock. But because they have 5 cards in hand, well, I guess they're going to go to 6 here. We'll slowly start discarding cards out of their hand. So we'll pay 2 here. We're 1 mana short to activate Gaia Reach. That's okay. Use that as a Isochron Scepter. Oh, and I guess we forgot to take down on our set. Kind of forgot about that. Kind of get used to not taking the sound when I have cards like Days Undoing. Cool. We have a Teferi, which this should be able to lock it in. Excellent. Player fetch land, so now we can for sure play around Blood Moon. We're not going to do anything with Ashiok here, so we will just pass the turn. Yeah, we're going to activate this now. Yeah, at this point, we could probably just get rid of Consigned Memory. Oh, double Damping Sphere. Kind of insane. Oh, and Days Undoing. Let's go. Yeah, cool. Alright, so match 4 really should be match 3 here. For some reason our match 2 opponent just conceded right off the bat. So we won the dice roll, which is always a plus. Alright, companion goes here. Alright, how are we thinking about with this hand? On the blind, I think this is fine. I mean, if we're playing against more Ruby Storm decks, this is great. I usually don't like to lead with a turn 1 archive because against our opponent, we don't know what they're playing. But I'd like to kind of set up our turns to where if we draw like a counter spell, we want to have mana open for that, and then turn 3, one of these 3 cards. We have another Teferi, so we can possibly bin this. Our opponent probably gets the hint with Kihira. This is most likely control. So binning this Teferi probably seems like the best option since we already have one. I think I'm okay with that. Let's see what our opponent is playing here. Windswept, and they're cracking right away. Stomping ground. Oh, this could be Eldrazi. Yep, there is a Utopia Sprawl. Red. At least I'm guessing this is Eldrazi. Let's see what we draw here, because we may want to actually Orim's Chant on their turn. Yeah, because if they have a Eldrazi Temple here, they can just play a turn 2 summon Microspawn, and they're so far ahead. So I actually kind of like doing this rare occasion of casting an Orim's Chant on their turn. Yep. Glad we did. Would not be surprised if they were actually going to play their turn 2 Microspawn. We're going to bin Breeding Pool. Now, if we bin this, then we can't Prismatic anything for 3, but again, if this is Eldrazi, we're not really exiling anything of 3. So we can bin that Breeding Pool just fine. So we'll draw here. Well, we drew our counter spell. So we could play Teferi, bounce this. That means they would have to recast this. And if they're missing their extra land drop, then they would have to have a way to, let's see, if we bounce it, they would have to have a land. We could also go Narset. And if we go Narset, and we draw a Days Undoing, then I think we're in a really good shape there. So I think against an empty board here, we kind of want to lead with an Narset. We're going to do Gyre Reach, and just go Narset. There's probably a good chance that they do have another land, so I think going to Fairy bouncing this might be a little too cute. Let's see. Interesting options here. We probably want to take a Force of Negation just to be on the safe side in case they are playing a Karn. We could also use this for Colligan's Command too. But I guess if they were going to Colligan's Command, they could do it on this turn. Yep. I mean, unfortunately, we can't cast Force Negation because it's our turn. Some of these decks I think are still running Karn, so I just wanted to get that Force Negation for that reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Jeez. World Breaker. God. Card is so annoying. But here's a good example where we want to go to, why we wanted to play Narset instead. What are you doing?
trying to not be in the shot.
You probably were.
That's great.
Was that your stomach?
Yep.
Wow.
You know how my stomach is? It doesn't shut up for 2 minutes. And I made the mistake of having a little bit of dairy. So, watch out. I may die today.
Alright, so we didn't hit a Days Undoing here. Spell Center's a little bit late to answer this impulse. I really don't want to use Teferi to bounce this back to their hand, since they actually have 6 mana to just recast it. I hate this card. Now we could try to play a Narset. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, our game 1 against this matchup can be a little bit rough, but that's why if we try to get Orange Chant and Isochron Scepter combo as soon as possible, then it's pretty much a guaranteed lock. Here it's going to be a little bit harder since we'll need to draw those 3 cards in that exact order. I think here, I don't think we have any other... God, it's so hard here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we're just trying to set up our draw here with stock up. So I do like doing the Solitude and Days Undoing here. Since Solitude can pitch Teferi, and then we can go Days Undoing. And hopefully that kind of wins us the game, but we'll see. Eldrazi just has some nut draws. Let's see if our opponent wants to attack Narset even. So it looks like they are attacking Narset, which we are going to fire this off. Assuming our opponent doesn't have another Sown Microspawn, I think we're in a really good spot. But with 5 cards in hand, I would not be surprised. Or even a World Breaker. Is this another one? Can never have it break against the stack. Really. Yeah, if we draw a land, then we're in a untapped land at least. We're in a really good spot. I would even take an Orange Chant if we fail to draw our 3rd land. Jeez. I would have taken like a Culligan's command. Or a Kozilek's command. Another Talisman, I'm not worried about that. Of course, it does ramp them a little bit closer to Emrakul. Cool thing about Days Undoing is it shuffles their graveyard, so it'll require an additional cost for them to cast it. See if we draw our 3rd land. Miracle? We didn't get it. Alright. Well, I think I'm just gonna go to game 3 here. Yeah. We draw our land. Wait. Might have just been an aggressive concession there, but I think our opponent's just gonna get us. We're just really behind. If we would have drawn our 3rd land right there, I think even with their Sown Microspawn, they kill our Narset, that's fine. But they have 1 card, well, they'll have 2 cards in hand, and those 2 cards have to be some major payoffs there. I just want to go to the game 2 because I feel like that game's going to go super long, and I just don't want to drain the clock. So we're going to go to our sideboard here. We're going to bring in another Isochron Scepter, 2 Damping Spheres, and 4 Consign. Our Consigns definitely come in. Temporary Lockdown, even though Temporary Lockdown is not kind of making a good performance in our matchup so far, I still think overall this card is still great. Here, just not so much. We're going to take out Prismatic Endings, and probably just 1 March here. We can keep in 1 March at least. For in the late game, we can use this to X whatever. If the game's got long, we could probably even exile a Emrakul. The game that goes that far, I'd be extremely surprised. Of course, we could also bin a Teferi too, just since Teferi doesn't actually do a whole lot of like them bouncing back their Eldrazi and recasting it. I don't think we bring in Ashiok. I don't think this is an Ashiok matchup. Of course, it does stop Sown Microspawn. That would probably actually incentivize me to take out a Teferi just for this reason. So, actually, let's try that. So we won the dice roll. We're going to continue to refill our companion. And let's see, with this hand... a little bit interesting here. We have Counterspell and Orange Chant, 2 Surveilled lands. I think this is okay. We'll try this. We got part of our combo here, so if we see a Isochron Scepter, I would love to keep that. So we do see a stock up, so we'll set that up for the next turn. All right, Eldrazi Temple pass. We're just gonna hold up Counterspell. Opponent is probably representing Kozak's command. So we'll play this tapped. Yeah, and there we go. I guess here's the question. So they're probably going to cast Kozak's command, which looks to be the case. Do we counter this? And they draw a card. This gives them 2 mana. Yeah, I'm going to counter this. I might be playing around Karn too much here, but in order for them to cast Karn, they would have to have a Ugin's Labyrinth. So let's see if they have that and Karn. So in my okay, Stomping Ground, Transfer. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. So in order to, so if we cast Isochron Scepter, it requires us to pay 3 mana. So how do we feel about that? So I think it's, so we have to pay 5 if I'm understanding that. 2 to activate it and 3 to cast it with Transfer. Okay. Let me just make sure, because I think we would need the extra mana for them to not attack. So let's see if this is how it works. Yep. Kind of an expensive cost, but that's fine. Luckily we have the extra mana to prevent them from attacking. But it looks like our opponent's just going to scoop it up and we're just going to go to game 3. So yeah, the Isochron Scepter Orange Chant is the real deal. Here I don't think we make any other changes. We could probably bring in another force to deal with things like Transfer. So we could just take out this. I think just Teferis just seem bad overall. I mean, we could use Teferi to just even bounce the Transfer, but I think Force of Negation is probably just going to be better in this case. And again, we have March to exile it if we absolutely need to, so we'll just do this. Also, having an additional answer to Kozak's command is kind of a big deal there. Alright. So game 3. Six lands and a consigned memory. Ugh. We have 3 fetch lands that can get us our surveil lands. I think if we had 2 consigned memories and 5 lands, I would be kind of tempted to keep this. But we're pretty land heavy here. I'm really not sure how I feel about that. Honestly, this is a for sure mulligan. Alright. Slightly better hand. We are going to keep... Fortunately, I don't like to ship one of these cards, but I guess if we had to ship one, we'll just ship the Breeding Pool, since this is kind of just treated as an island at this point. So we'll ship that back. F6 for the turn, since we're not going to be casting anything. Now this Damping Sphere might come in handy. Been in an Ugin's Labyrinth right off the bat. We'll lead with Hall there and pass the turn. See what their turn 2 play is. Nothing. Interesting. Alright. So they could be setting up for a Transfer next turn or a Soen Microspawn. If it's a Soen Microspawn, then we want to lead with a Damping Sphere. So let's lead with... I mean, we could also Orange Chant them too. But I just like being able to just go Island here and just go Damping Sphere. Now, if they do have a Transfer next turn, then our counter spells or Orange Chant's gonna cost like 3 mana. Stone Rain. Classic. But luckily enough, we drew our land. Kind of forget that the Eldrazi splashing red here for Stone Rain matters. They Stone Rain here, then we'll counterspell, but that is not the case. We're not going to counter that. Not worth it. Because Labyrinth will only be 1 mana. Let's see. Doubt the Eldrazi deck is playing any Blood Moons. Would be kind of weird. We're gonna get an Archive, and well, with a Days Undoing on top, I kind of like keeping that. Go to our turn. So alright. So they could probably do a Kozilek's Command for 2. I got some 2 mana. Really wish we had our 4th land here, because I would love to just go Narset, Orange Chant. Or playing too cautiously if we are doing counter, if we just hold up Counterspell for the command. They have 4 lands. I kind of like just being able to just play this Narset to set up our next turn with Days Undoing. Here, kind of a tricky one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could have a summon Microspawn next turn and exile one of our cards. Probably our dual land here. So, and that's another reason why I just wanted to play Narset this turn. I think we just get our 5 mana Teferi. Yeah, that Stone Rain really set us back. Yep. As predicted. Luckily enough, these spawn tokens can't damage Narset, so that's good. But this can set them up for an Ugin. Yeah, exactly 7. I just hope that they don't have an Ugin. Interesting. They just have nothing? Wow. Okay, now I really hope we draw a 4th land here. Well, we drew a Consign. How do we feel about that? So if we go Days Undoing here, unfortunately, we'll be tapped out completely. And depending on what they draw, could end up mattering quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, this is always one of the tricky spots against this matchup, because I've been in a similar situation before where I've done Days Undoing, tapped out completely. Give them, I draw 7 cards, they draw 1, they draw another, and it's just a huge payoff. All they need is just like an Ugin. And that could just win them the game. So I think here our Consign kind of keeps that in check. Do we want to take down Narset here? Let's just take down Narset just to kind of get us a better setup here. And we do have another Narset. I think if we were going to Days Undoing, we would have just done that before taking down our Narset. So I think we're just going to hold back a little bit and just hold up Consign. Opponent didn't do anything next or last turn, so kind of curious on that. Land go. Wow. So do they just have all lands in hand? Land here? Well, we drew Isochron Scepter. Oof. Alright. Well. Opponent has 4 cards in hand and they haven't cast anything. And they have 1, 2, 3 card types. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they're 1 short from casting Emrakul. So I think I just want to draw a 4th land here so we can ensure cast an Isochron Scepter Orim Chant combo. So we could try to stock up here, but that just seems a little bit too loose. So we're just gonna hold back. Since we do have to discard, I think, as much as I hate to say it, we're gonna have to discard our homeboy here. Excuse me. Wow. Okay, land. Jeez. We have so many great cards in our hand. Still don't think we do anything here. Wow. Stupid Stone Rain. And we could have held up a counterspell for it if we wanted to, but we did not. Here we will just discard probably Narset, since we already have one on the board. Could probably just be giving our opponent so much time here. Opponent's tapping mana. Now, Eldrazi Temple can only tap for 2 or 1 here. Well, that's weird. Magus of the Moon? That's actually gonna remove this off. How do we feel about that? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they can't cast an Ugin here, because then they have to, yeah, because it's gonna be 1 more mana. However, let's see, they land a Magus of the Moon. That is weird. We were just talking about that, so I kind of just want to counterspell this. And we have 8 minutes left on the clock here, so we might want to try to speed this up. God dang it. Okay. Well, rather unfortunate. We drew our tap land. Worst possible time. Yeah, we'll have to keep that on top. Alright, we're kind of locked in here. just pass. Oh, what an interesting game here. They have a Magus of the Moon, which I guess is good against the mirror here. There. Kind of wasn't expecting that, but I feel like using counterspell on that was still fine. Now, if we didn't counter that, we could have just held up Consigned for the Soin Microspawn and had the mana to actually cast that. Now, what is this here? Are they actually cast? Oh, they're actually casting Emrakul. Alright. Kind of had a feeling that they had Emrakul here. Let's see what they kind of do here, because they can Daze Undoing. They're just going to give us a new hand of 7. They have 1. Or, actually no, I'm sorry, they just use Microspawn to attack this, get a new hand. What is this? Okay. Kind of glad we ended up playing this Isochron Scepter. Oh, they're attacking us. Wow. That seems wrong, but okay. So they're controlling our turn. Luckily, Aurora costs 1 less for each legendary creature, so they can't bounce this. Or bounce Isochron Scepter. They don't really... I don't think they can really do anything here. But of course, with 7 minutes left on the clock, we kind of have to... Are they just going to go Daze Undoing? Okay, that's weird. Or they can stock up. I don't think you even want to cast stock up. I mean, you have to pick 2 cards. But yeah, with 7 minutes left on the clock, like I was trying to say, we have to try to fight through both of these creatures. We did keep, let's double check here. The sideboard. Oh, why is our sideboard not... Why can we not view our sideboard? Oh, that's weird. I think we still kept in our Supreme Verdict, so we can Supreme Verdict this board. Yeah, I don't know what our opponent can really do here. Oh, wow. They just concede. Alright, that is awesome. Our hand was just too good. I mean, there, it's like, they could try to cast stock up, they have to choose 2 cards. Orim's Chant's not going to really do anything, they can just do that just to waste it out of our hand, but we take an additional turn, which means, I think with what we were going to draw, let's see, what were we going to draw next? Oh, it's not going to even show us. Of course, on our next turn, we would have just played a land and just do this Orim's Chant lock, so makes me think that they just didn't have a way to answer this, so. Well, cool. We got a game against Eldrazi, so we'll go for the round 5 and see how we do. See if we go 3-0, or 3-2, or sorry, 4-1. Jeez. All right. We are on the draw, and against an unknown opponent here. Let's see, they did not reveal a companion. I think this is an okay hand, and because we're on the draw here, we can use we can hold up mana for Spell Snare if we need to. Not sure if we lead with a fetch land. Also kind of just depends on what our opponent plays, maybe even on turn 1. I think we're okay to keep this. We also have like, what is it, half of our combo with Daze Undoing. So all we need is our Narset. Hallowed Fountain. Could this be a mirror match? Oh, okay, Affinity. Mox Amber. Okay. Wow. Insane start. They have to exile a card? Oh, that's funny. Alright. So I don't even know if our Spell Snare is going to do anything, so we could probably use this Force to counter that Corey Steel Cutter. Oh, speak of the devil, we just drew Narset. So I think we just go Prismatic Ending on the Obel just to kind of Stone Rain them. Let's do that. Plus they can't cast the mana with Corey Steel. This is kind of a nice draw engine for them. They missed a land drop too, so if we can draw maybe another ending, that would be kind of nice. Drew an Orange Chant. Also not bad either too. Not sure if we want to cast it. Well, actually let's actually cast it on their turn. Kind of slow them down for a turn. Because I guess if they want a Metallic Rebuke, repeal. Okay, that's fine. They can't cast it, but they can play a land. I guess they were doing that just to draw a card. Alright. And we've got to reach out here too. This is kind of nice. I think here we're not going to take down Narset because we have our Days Undoing. So, of course, if we could take down... Yeah, I don't think the Spell Snare is actually seeing much use here, so we're not going to even use Narset here. Speaking of which, our opponent going to play Narset? No. They are going to play Corey Steel, which we definitely want to counter thus. Okay. Good for our opponent to get rid of Orange Chant, because it will get shuffled back in with Days Undoing. But here we're going to be able to demonstrate the combo here. So, play our land, so then that way it guarantees for mana open up for Orange Chant. And here we're not going to take down on Narset, so we're just going to... Yeah, we're just gonna cast Days Undoing here. Ooh. Awesome. Zerotic 2. Thanks for the raid, man. Wow. Everybody tuning in, thanks for tuning in. We are jamming some Azorius Control here. Definitely catching at a great time for us to combo off here with Narset and Days Undoing. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Alrighty. So unfortunately we did not get a Orange Chant, but we did get a Specter. Oh, and thank you for the follow too. Oh, we are definitely getting quite the crowd here. 8. Oh. Did you end up making top 8? And what deck were you playing? I assume that you were also playing Modern? Let's see. Emery doesn't have any targets at the moment here, so I don't think we have to actually do anything just yet. This temp lockdown is going to be kind of sick. Ooh. Okay. There's an Urza Saga on the stack. We are going to fetch, get a Plains here. We're going to exile it while we can. Sick. That might have been their turn to cast the, what is it, the turtle. So bad with names. 11th, yep, same deck as always. Mill, ugh. I can only half congratulate you. I'm joking. But seriously, congrats though, that's awesome. Yeah, Mill's my worst matchup. Let's see, are they attacking Narset? They are. So Narset would go down to 4 here. I think that's fine. I don't think it's worth pitching a white card for Solitude here. Especially since I think we want to use Lockdown on these 2 cards. If we want to. We do have Isochron Scepter Counterspell, which is something to kind of note here. Let's see what we draw. We did hit a Archive. Let's tick down, see if we get an Orange Chant. We got a Prismatic Ending. So making great matchups. Yeah, I feel like Mill kind of comes and goes. Like it's good and then it's bad. I think in a meta where like if like this deck that I'm playing, I feel like if there's a lot of control, Mill's fantastic. If the format's pretty grindy, Mill's also good. I think Mill, I don't know, since you seem to be like the Mill expert, is Eldrazi kind of a good matchup for you? Because we just played against it last round. I'm just contemplating if I want to actually try to go for Isochron Scepter Counterspell here. They have 1 card. I think that seems fine. We also do have the Gaia Reach lock here too. So I think it's probably too, I don't know, it's probably too cute. This is also another alternative that we can do other than just doing the boring Scepter with Orange Chant. I am just going to play my 5th land here. I don't think I'm going to do anything just yet with it. We could also crack our fetch land to get a breeding pool and get rid of this Emery. Yeah, I too also run 4 consigns. Yeah, I don't think we're going to do anything here. We're getting all the follows here. Alright, so our opponent, let's see. Oh, they just cracked their lantern. Okay, got a little distracted there. Whoops. Alright, there we go. A little bit of a slight freeze there. Yeah, you have a good night, and congrats on making it at least top 16. So I appreciate the raid too, and everybody tuning in. So hope you all stick around. But I'll make sure to follow back as well too to watch some of your stuff, especially if you're playing Mill. I might need to see the ins and out against that deck. Cool. Yeah, I'm not too worried about Emery having this reoccurring lantern. So yeah, they're going to exile or march. That's fine. Let's see. They have 2 cards left. Doesn't seem like they have any major payoffs here. So I think we're just going to do an end of turn Solitude and then just start the beats. 2. What is it? We're at 11. Yeah, we can get a Hollow Fountain here. Kind of want to keep up a lot of white sources. And while we could get a Brain Pool to Prismatic Ending for 3, I'm not really too worried about it here. I think we're in a winning position here. Okay, cool. Opponent's definitely seeing the writing on the wall here. What were we going to draw into? Instant Rainforest, and then... Dang, almost a whiff with Narset there. Yeah, I mean, there's probably a situation where we probably just do Scepter with Counterspell. Okay, so sideboard against what looks like Affinity. Doesn't seem like this is a matchup for Consign, but I would say Subtlety definitely comes in against... God, what am I drawing a blank on the turtle? The 6-mana Improvise one. Can remember everything on that card except for the name. So Scepter and Subtlety will come in. As far as cards being taken out, doesn't look like this is a Spell Snare matchup, so we're going to take that out. Force Negation is tempting. Oh wait, actually, no, I'm sorry. We do want to keep Spell Snares because they have Quarry Steels. And that card can kind of blow us out. Whew, okay, this is interesting. What do we actually take out here? Yeah, if we didn't see the Quarry Steels, I feel like we definitely take out the snares for sure. Endings seem to be pretty good against the Mana Rocks. Probably just want to take out a Force Negation. Yeah, because Temporary Lockdown is going to be super important here. Okay. Teferi might be a little too slow here. We'll take out one of those and maybe a... May not even need the second Orange Chant here. Teferi might be a little slow here, so we'll probably just take out that. And kind of just start with this then. Alright, so we're gonna reveal our companion once again. This is gonna be our final match for tonight. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's see. Yeah, I think we probably should keep this. Again, we have half of our combo here. I'll just have 6. Wow. Another fast start for our opponent. And they have a Flage. Nice. This is probably one of the scenarios where we probably want to cast an Orange Chant on their upkeep. Let's see if that's the case. But they are using a bubble on us. Oh, cool. And we draw Narset once again. We're just so good at drawing our combo pieces. Narset. Okay, so I don't think we have to Orange Chant here. So we're just gonna play a fetch land and pass the turn. Matt is getting into some stuff upstairs. Okay, so our opponent's casting a bubble from the graveyard, playing a tap land, 3 cards in hand for our opponent, and in a fetch land. So nothing scary on that turn, so we do have mana open for our counterspell next turn. So we're gonna fetch, get a surveil land. We'll keep that on top. Of course, I think we are going to play our island untapped. Alright, give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, I thought we passed to our opponent.
Oh my god. Josh.
Did he get inside the cabinet?
Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm tempted to leave him in there for a little while.
As punishment, you should. My cat somehow made it inside the drawers and got stuck. Alright, so our opponent's playing a cutter here. I think we want to throw a counterspell at this. Could hold up, we could try to not counter that and use our temporary lockdown for it, but I think doing a counterspell on that is fine. Now they could bring it back with Emery, and that's fine. Let's see. So we draw our other Days Undoing. So we're going to play a tap land here. Our opponent can bring back Flage from their graveyard. So another Narset. How do we feel about that? I think we're just going to bin it and set up next turn to cast Narset with Orim's Chant. Of course, we could even just cast Orim's Chant for them to just not do anything for the turn. I don't know how set they are on just actually trying to cast Flage.
Yeah, he managed to close himself in the drink cabinet with like the seltzer waters and stuff.
That's funny. Alright, so our opponent's gonna repeal. Where are they repealing? Oh, they're Mox Opal.
Right. He is streaming.
Okay. Opponent recasting Mox Opal. So our opponent's going to attack for 3 here. But it's down to 16. You're fine to come downstairs. Alright. Okay, so we did draw a land. So we'll probably set up our next turn to go Narset and then hold up Orange Chant with the additional kicker cost, assuming that they don't have any counter spells. This might be a temp lockdown turn here, so let's do that. And if they want to counterspell this, that's fine. I'd rather them counter this. Oh, they're gonna repeal. Where are they repealing? They're Core Steel Cutter. Alright. They're gonna get rid of their bubble. That's fine. But this requires them to cast their steel, and then I guess they can bring back the bubble, get a token out of it. Okay. Hopefully our opponent just taps out completely. They only have 1 blue source open. Well, now they have 2. They're using 1 of it. Yeah, hopefully they just tap out completely. Oh. Isn't this just infinite for them? Okay, yeah, because they played the bubble, they sacrificed it, yeah. So we have to do this in response. Which is actually kind of funny because now we get to play Narset. Let's see if we actually get our Orange Chant. I think our opponent just gets us here. Right? Oops. Yeah, I think our opponent just gets us here. Yeah, because they can just keep casting bubble from their graveyard. Yep, they got us. Alright. We'll go to game 3 here. Yeah, we're just really hoping to hit another Orange Chant there. Oh, actually, you know what? Ashiok should be brought in. Subtlety, I still want to keep in. Snare, I think I probably just want to keep 1 snare in. Let's bring in Ashiok. Rest in peace. Actually, let's do this. Let's actually just take out the spell snares entirely. I think on the draw it was worth keeping these. But since we also have answers to Core Steel with these, I think this is worth just keeping these in. Yeah, I'm actually bringing in Rest in Peace. We also saw Flage that game, and Emery just kind of reoccurring their Mishra's Bubble is also good there. So yeah, we're definitely bringing in Rest in Peace. We're just taking out the Spell Snares. Yeah, Spell Snares seem to be only good against the Quarry Steels. But since we're on the play here, I'm probably just gonna just take them out entirely. I don't see what else it's also gonna see use for. Ugh. Alright, so we won the dice, or the die roll. Alright, so we're gonna keep this. Alright. Gonna try to play a little bit faster here. So our opponent gonna have another strong start again. Tamio. Alright, so we got ending for... Oh, shit. Meant to fetch end of turn there. It's okay, we're playing around Blood Moon. Alright, we're just gonna chalk this in. Yeah, I F6 when I meant to do until end step. Whoops. That's why I like playing paper sometimes. I don't make these mistakes in real life. Alright.
Stop getting in the counters. You don't need to be in them, sir. Sir? Oh.
Alright.
Start with me, sir.
Now let's make sure we set it up right to where we can fetch this. Spellbone, not as scary. Okay, so our opponent has a little bit of a slow start here. Alright. This we were supposed to do last turn. This does guarantee our 5th land for Solitude, but I think I still want to bend this. Draw. Alright. Island. So I think we're going to try to jam a Narset here. They could have a Spell Pierce. And I think Metallic Rebuke, they're one short. Alright, excellent. Now the question is, which card do we get here? Rest in Peace or Orange Chant? I think we're gonna get a Rest in Peace. A lot of their deck seems to utilize the Graveyard.
Ow! Damn, Matt. You're not supposed to rabbit foot my arm that hard.
Girlfriend's having fun with the cat. Wow. Opponent's just not playing anything for the turn? They just gonna hold out some counter magic?
Alright, they're fetching on main phase 2 here. I mean, if they're playing a Flage, then we can just play our Rest in Peace. Oh, okay. They're just gonna get value off of getting a land drop.
Fucked me up. I mean, messed me up.
Alright, draw. Let me hit a tempo lockdown, that's not bad.
Ow.
Stick down on Narset, see what we draw. See what we get here. Hopefully we don't whiff. Almost whiffed. We'll hit the ending. We'll play our fetch land. Play Rest in Peace. Now it might be a little bit of a nombo with our Days Undoing, but that's fine. Because what's important is if we draw 7, they draw only 1, that's still fine. Oh, okay, so they have a spell, so they're playing Spell Snare. Okay. And that's unfortunate, but that's okay. I think Rest in Peace was still the card that we wanted to get. Let's see, 5th land. Okay. So they're just exploring here. Nice. Suddenly our opponent has more land-ins than us. Reclamation is really good. Kind of smart of our opponent to do that. Counterspell will definitely keep on top. I'll play Aurora. And we'll try to play another Narset here. Pulling up Counterspell. We'll keep this one. Take down. Yeah. Get the 3rd Narset. Our opponent fetching. Be a little bit sad if our opponent is also playing Blood Moon. But yeah, they're also a Nerves of Saga deck, so I'd be a little surprised. Speaking of which, they have a Nerves of Saga. But we have a Solitude to at least answer one of those tokens. Oh, we draw a stock up, that's nice. Let's still take down on Narset. We draw a Teferi. Let's actually play Teferi. And if it resolves, we'll bounce that Urza Saga. Sweet. Oh, and we draw Days Undoing. Perfect. Okay. Feeling pretty good. Let's see what they do. So they have a Quarry Steel. So I feel like it makes sense to actually counter this. Of course, we do have an answer for the token. What could they have at 4 mana here? Or I'm sorry, 4 cards in hand with 6 lands open? Solitude, pitching, ending, or temporary lockdown here. This could be wrong, but we're gonna try to counter spell this. Because if we don't counterspell that, then they're going to play another spell to follow it up. I guess it kind of depends on what spell they follow it up with. But it looks like they don't. Maybe they were just playing it just so they can have it on the field. Okay. So we're going to take up on Teferi here. And this is kind of the funny part. So we're going to Days Undoing on their draw step. So let's actually put a stop on their draw step. Of course, they could have an Aurora, and that could kind of screw us over. Let's just hope that they don't. That's the only thing that kind of stops us here. But you know what? We're gonna try to go for it. Oops. Let's actually wait until they draw. I'm gonna actually laugh if they have an Aurora. We got it. Yes. Hell yeah. Alright, so here's our review with the deck. So we just went 4-1. Our loss against for tonight in our league was against the Mono-Red Belcher deck. I would have liked to have seen match 2 against our opponent just to actually play it out just to see what it would have been, but you know, for a modern league that grants us more play points, I'll take it. So, but yeah, our other matchups we played against was against Eldrazi, Ruby Storm, and Jeskai Affinity / Ascendancy combo. Had a lot of interesting games. We played pretty much all 3 games in each of our rounds. I think Modern looks pretty fun right now. I think probably the best it's been since, well, I don't know, probably in the last year at least. I think Aspiring Spike, I was saying this too, and I would agree. I think after the banning with Underworld Breach, I feel like the format just seems a lot more diverse. A lot of fun and interesting decks that you can be playing here. And this is one of them. This is definitely a deck I would recommend to anybody that wants to try to jam Azorius Control. One thing you have to kind of keep in mind when you're playing this on paper is that you have to be conservative of your time. Whereas like on Magic Online, it's the chess clock, so you have to kind of go through the clicks and motions with it, and it can be kind of tedious, but you have to be quick about it as well too. So there were, I think in that last game, we had like about 5 minutes left on the clock. Luckily enough, our opponent just didn't want to waste any more time, probably saw the writing on the wall and just wanted to concede. But just one thing to keep in mind when you're playing decks like this, you just want to be conservative about the time, play fast, and just play to your outs, play tight. If you can win game 1, perfect, but there's also no reason to slow roll. But yeah, let's just go straight to the deck. I can probably talk about Control for the next hour, so we'll try to kind of keep this short and simple here. So overall with the deck, I think I might make some changes. I'm not sure yet. Temporary lockdowns seem to be medium for our league for tonight, but I still think it's great in a meta where there's a lot of Boros energy. I'm liking this more than Wrath of the Skies since it comes down to turn early, where Wrath of the Skies can X's 2 wipe out most of Boros Energy's board, but I think in a format where 3 and 4 can kind of matter so much, also against is a Prowess as well too, I think this is where Lockdown really shines quite a bit. Now, you might think this with Scepter might be a little bit of a combo. Doesn't really come up at all. I think if you're in a situation where you have Scepter with Chant, you're just in a likely scenario where you're going to win. Sideboard, I could probably see some changes. I would probably do another league of this with the exact 75 and see how I would do in that one. I would love to have gone 5-0, but unfortunately we lost against the Belcher deck, Mono-Red Belcher deck, which again I think is a good matchup for us, or I think Storm in general is. But yeah, I think overall with this deck I'm satisfied. The Planeswalker count I'm still fine with. I could see a scenario where we probably want to play 2 Teferis, but we didn't really play Teferi at all in any of our leagues, now that I think about it. I think we saw it, but just didn't actually play it. But Narset and the Days I'm Doing combo just continues to shine. I think the numbers on this is still correct. I think you still want to play 2. You definitely want to be able to see at least one of these, and then be able to reuse your additional spells like Chance and counter spells, anything that you can get just maximum value out of it. But yeah, the deck is overall fun. I think some lists usually run 2 Surveil Lance. I'm running 3. I think having 3 Surveil Lance is super duper important, especially if you want to set up your early draws where turn 1, really you're just almost just like doing a fetch land tapped. There might be cases where you do Spell Snare and Chant. On the rare occasions where you probably want to chant on 2, I think we did one where we were up against Eldrazi, where we kind of prevented them from casting Summon Microspawn for a turn. And I think it's kind of important that chant can be something that you can aggressively use even against Boros Energy, where you just want to be able to just like counter their turn. Or stop them, basically stop them from casting any spells for a turn, and then setting up things for a counterspell on the turn after. So, but yeah, I would like to see maybe matchups like, well, we didn't see any Boros Energy, which I was kind of expecting, but I'm sure I'll see that probably at Indy, SCG Indy. Same thing with Titan. There we go. I always, call me crazy, but I always love jamming this deck against Titan. I feels like it can sometimes be a nail biter, and it's always like, to me, a 50-50 matchup. But I think that's all I can really think of for the deck at the moment. But yeah, anyone who wants to jam some Control, feel free to take a screenshot of this list. Again, I have my YouTube channel. I will be posting this up hopefully in the next day or two for anyone that wants to watch it, anyone that kind of missed out on it, but most importantly for anybody that is interested in wanting to jam this deck. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to leave a comment on my YouTube channel. I am definitely trying to get back into doing more content like I used to before, so I'm going to try to make this more of a regular thing. In terms of streaming, it kind of varies. Just my schedule can just be kind of a little bit whacked. I'm not a consistent streamer that streams on certain nights or certain times, so but yeah, also just hit the follow button for my Twitch channel, Affinity, and yeah, I'm going to be streaming mostly just Modern at this point, just because it's RCQ season. So, but yeah, that being said, I'm going to call it quits for tonight, but I, again, appreciate everybody tuning in. You all have a good night.